Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sarasota's May Colloquium. Sarasota is delighted to offer these colloquium sessions thanks to the generosity of our presenters who share their wisdom and knowledge with us on a monthly basis. I would like to just remind everyone that Sarasota University is a 100% online university offering a bachelor's completion program, a master's degree in Montessori education or Montessori leadership. Our bachelor's completion program is a bachelor's of science in Montessori education, and we're delighted to have cohort 3 of our EDD, Doctor of Education, starting this summer, June 30th. And if you'd like information about any of those programs, I know Ellen is our Director of Admission. She's here with us this evening and she'd love to speak with you. She'll drop her email in the chat, info@sarasotauniversity.edu. And if you'd like more information, please contact Ellen or me. We'd love to talk to you. And now it is my honor to introduce Maati Wafford. Maati is a practitioner, a Montessorian, a social worker, someone who I deeply admire and value in our Montessori community. She is a licensed social worker, equity practitioner, spirit-led Montessori credentialed teacher, and educational consultant and coach. She is the founder and principal consultant of Radiant Mind Solutions, holding Montessori credentials in early childhood, elementary 1 and 2, and administration. Maati fiercely infuses critical reflection and a sincere love of learning into her interactions with children, parents, and fellow educators. It is my honor to welcome Maati here this evening, and we're very, very excited to hear your message this evening. Welcome.
Hello, good evening or whatever time zone, morning, evening, afternoon. I'm excited to be here and I'm going to just jump right in because that's what I do. But thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to think about this topic and I actually think about it quite a bit. So it's not like every day I'm thinking about it in some way, form, or fashion. So I will say that it is definitely just something that's heavy on my mind. And let me share my screen so that I can stay focused. Otherwise, I'll just start chatting. It won't stop. Let's see. Okay, can you see my screen? You see the slides?
Not quite yet. Oh, there we go. Yes, now we
Okay,
can see it. Yep.
perfect. Okay, so I want to have a talk, and please feel free put your questions, comments in the chat. Lindsay has agreed to kind of like let's just talk throughout. Let's have a conversation. So throughout, you can just ask a question. Healing through connection amidst chaos. Now, this word chaos is pretty deep, and we all have this. We're having these collective experiences of chaos, right? Just in society and culturally. When we think about chaos, I'm thinking about systemic chaos, familial chaos, right? There's chaos that happens globally that we are we can be made aware of and feel very far from it, but still feel it in our systems. And then there's personal chaos that is, and that's the one that we carry. We're literally carrying with us in our bodies. And so just I wanted to just open the dialogue up around connecting when we are feeling chaos around, and then how Montessori philosophy can be a response to that state. Um, so yeah, that's I'm going to jump in. So if you only remember one thing, if you only walk away with one thing, and there's no judgment, because sometimes you just need that one thing. But if it is just one thing, I would say that this idea around your nervous system being the prepared environment, right? If you can start to equate your own nervous system with your prepared environment, whatever environment that is, it doesn't have to be a classroom with shelves and flowers and vases. Like it doesn't have to be that. It might be, but your prepared environment might be your office space, or maybe it's your home, your bedroom, like whatever is your prepared environment. I want you to see that your nervous system is going to be the very first one. Okay, because then you take that with you into every space that you go into and engage. When we have regulated adults, we then can foster, nurture, and hold regulated children. That's 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 it. So if you have to go, you can go now because this is what my presentation is about. Just kidding. Don't leave yet. Okay, neurobiological insights. Um, just to quickly, and many of us know, I just like to remind us that Montessori philosophy in and of itself, it is steeped in clinical work, clinical understandings, clinical framing, right? Psychological framing, all of it is. So when we think about some of the neurobiological pieces in Montessori philosophy, we can look at things like the window of tolerance. You can look that up to find out more about what is a window of tolerance. It's when learning happens. It's about the science around learning happening when we are regulated, right? So then you'll start to get into the brain. How we sometimes we do this with our young people. How you flip your lid when you're not integrated, when you're in this mode of like not being able to really take in information because you are triggered or dysregulated, right? That idea. Think about the polyvagal theory, where we talk about safety being a biological need. It is not about making a choice, right? This safety is a biological need. So understanding that, then understanding the stress response cycle. Many of us see it. We can see it in children and adults. We can see the fight, flight, the freeze happening in real time in the classroom, in the boardroom, right? In our leadership practice with administrators. We have, you know, all of us. No one is exempt from that, right? Because it's about the brain. It's not about how many degrees you have or how long you were able to sit to get your credential, right? It's not. What trauma looks like behaviorally helps us to be able to reframe, oh, a student who's being difficult, right? Or a student who is causing a problem or is defiant or just doesn't listen, right? Or there's something going like understanding that what the role that trauma plays and how it looks behaviorally. So those are just some things that I want to touch on. We're not going to get into that for the most part here, but this is all in the pot when we talk about how our own ability to connect with each other, connect with our students, connect with ourselves allows us to be able to calm our system so that we can show up in the community and show up for each other, even when there's chaos all around. Okay, so that's just a little bit of that. Now, also there are different aspects also about the work that we do, that the work that we offer students in Montessori classrooms, and thinking about how those also impact and support the nervous system. The entire sensorial curricular area, materials, every single one is grounding work. Literally. I can actually remember, and practical life. Okay. I can actually remember my first credential was lower, no, was primary, early childhood. And I remember in practical life, and I was in teacher education training program, I struggled to stay awake in practical life because we would do the work and my instructor was like, she was hardcore. She was a nun too. She Sister Anita. Um, but she would demonstrate the practical life, the exercises, and I would watch her pour water, and I would just be like, whoa, like what is happening to me? Right. And what was happening was that my system was being regulated. I was getting grounded. And it was a very different, like, it was a big contrast. So then we talk about mindfulness and just being able to like enter in this Zen state. I was definitely Zen and out, right? I was Zened out with the materials. And that's how I knew it was work. I was like, this works. There's something to this, right? Because I couldn't, it was hard for me to stay awake, to keep my eyes open. The work was fascinating, but it was doing something. It was calming me in a way that I wasn't ready for it. I'm like, what's happening? So and this is about the science of it. Those long, uninterrupted work cycles that so many of us educators are like trying to fight to hold on to, right? We want to hold on to that because we see what sustained work, what it creates in the children, what it creates, what the energy that happens in the classroom. And so those are all about, flow. It's about creating order and repetition. Those things bring safety, right? All of this is neurobiological. It's beautiful to talk about it. It's beautiful to see when you walk into the classroom, and it literally is on a physiological level, it is impacting us, right? And helping to heal many of us in some ways as well. So now I want to just go into a little bit of the spiritual preparation and mindful observation. So before we were talking more about like, okay, how are the children engaging? Now I just want to shift into the adult, and I'm going to go back and forth with adults and children, and also our inner child children, because we have children that we walk with that walk with us every day anyway. So it's all the same, right? Everything that's good for a Montessori child is good for a Montessori adult or administrator. Just you doing pouring work, putting your hand in some sand, or doing some kind of timeline work, it's gonna make you feel good also. So get down there and do it, right? Do it with them. Spiritual preparation, I'll touch on this with in terms of Montessori. It's not a religious doctrine, it's not a religious piece at all, but it is about inner discipline, right? And presence. And many of us we seek that and outside of us. We seek that in nature. We might seek that through a spiritual practice. And so the presence is key. And so how do you get to a place where you can do all this amazing work, these lofty ideas that Montessori, I mean, she puts us, when I say us, educators and administrators, I mean, she has some really high expectations, for what we're supposed to be doing every day for the child and, showing reverence and doing this and saving, well, we're not saving humanity, we're helping the child save humanity. All of that is big work. And so in order to be able to even like, um, bring ourselves to do that type of work, we have to continuously work on ourselves. I mean, I would say be relentless about it because every day we're going to need to show up in a different way, and every day we're going to feel a different way about how we show up, about our environments. And so presence, to be able to see the child for who they are that day, right? On that particular day. And also in terms of who you're bringing into the classroom on that particular day. So looking at behavior, yes, but that's not the only thing. It's so much of it is about what's at the spirit level, right? So that's when we start to get into those conversations about our cosmic task and, what it is that we're supposed to be supporting children in doing, right? This co-constructing and saving humanity. It's a tall order, right? Reflective practices, these things sharpen our observation. Um, I'm in the therapy space. nowadays, and it's always going to end up, okay, so what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And so much of it is Montessori philosophy. Not that I'm not saying it's Montessori philosophy, but a lot of it is, it's what we find, it's what we're encouraged to do. Be present, be in the moment, getting inside of our body. So that's the mindfulness work. Non-judgmental noticing. What do I see versus what do I interpret? Right. So the interpretation is about us bringing in other ideas and maybe even constrictions or perspectives that we have taken on. Maybe it comes from being socialized in a certain way. So we have to be careful with that. What do we see? What do we see might also be jaded, or there might be a lens, right? So really practicing the non-judgmental aspects of those things. And that also comes with mindfulness work, comes with presence, so that we can understand where we need to sharpen our own sense of self, get more connected with who we are, get more connected with our own trauma, right? Because we bring that into our classrooms as well, into our Montessori environments, through journaling, through peer observation, through supervision. This is the community. This is how the community comes together to be able to be in service to one another, right? The difference between reactive response and attuned response. I'm sure we all probably work on that, right? We know. I was just I was talking to a group in Chicago. It was parents at at a Montessori school, and I was going through this. We were talking about when our children um, say things that just like completely throw us off. Like, I can't believe you just said that, right? Or you just asked that. Where did you come from? Who's raising you, right? Who are your caregivers? And so it was funny. We talked about that. Everybody can relate to that. If you're being a parent, if you're a caregiver, you know that sometimes you'll get a remark or a question that's just like, wow, wow, I don't even know how to respond to that. And so we practiced this gesture. So I taught them, I said, when this happens, you stop, you tilt your head to the side, and the important that you can tilt to the left or right, it doesn't matter, but there's a tilt. And you say, huh, tell me more about that, right? This is how we get to moving from reactive responses to attuned responses. And so sometimes we need like explicit instruction so that we don't just fly off the handle and just start, doing the reactive thing that many of us are just, I mean, sometimes it just happens. It takes time and practice to get into attuned responses. And so that is just a little tidbit. You can try it if you want. You'll probably need to use it at some point this week if you work with young people, even older people. Just tilt your head and say, huh, tell me more about that, right? It gives you an opportunity to kind of bring things together, to regulate your breathing and do all of the things that you need to do. And then you deal with whatever it is that they just said.
I love that. Yeah, it
Okay.
really gives you a pause, right? It just gives you a minute to kind of collect your thoughts and
Yes,
yeah, and then remember to listen.
that part. Yeah, you got to listen then.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And actually, that's the second part. And I said, and if you can nail that, then just fall back and don't say nothing else. Just be quiet. You passed it. You passed the test. Because then you're listening, right? You're
Yes.
listening.
Right.
Absolutely.
And many times in my experience, people have the answer within them.
Mm,
And if we can listen long enough and help them process whatever they're feeling or needing to express in that moment, being that listener is so important.
yes. It's like everything. And I
Mm,
love that you brought that up. When you and this is, as Montessori educators, we know that, our job is to kind of like nurture this divine intelligence that exists within the child. And that goes for us as well. We all have an inner wisdom. And
mhm.
really it's about to be able to be in community with people who will hold space for you and your wisdom, right? What is your
That's
wisdom
right.
telling you?
Yes.
Um, and that's
That
just,
was a, I'm so
mhm.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to share that was one of the hardest things for me to learn. And I'm sorry I interrupted you when I was said that I was talking, but yeah, as a mom, even with my children, I want to
Mhm.
always jump in and fix it and try and give advice. But I remember one of my kids saying, "Mom, stop talking. I just want you to listen." And that really hit me, they don't need me to fix it. They just want to be heard.
Yep. Yep. To be that witness. So witnessing and
Hmm.
validation, it's everything, honestly. I want to just share this. It is super long, I know, but it is a beautiful quote about community making and peace that I think is just beautiful. It's describing community, I believe. The coming together of a, yeah, so this is like a definition, right, of community. The coming together of a group of individuals who have learned how to communicate honestly with each other, whose relationships go deeper than their masks of composure, and who have developed some significant commitment to rejoice together, mourn together, and to delight in each other and make others' conditions their own. Um, I just think that's powerful. And I wanted to, like, I'm kind of plopping this quote in the middle because I want to now move into, there's one thing about, like, we talk about the reflective work, the spiritual preparation of being a Montessori educator, right? And oftentimes we associate that with this isolated kind of individual work. And some of it is individual. You work with your shadows, you work with the ways in which you were raised, and then there's a point where you got to be in community around that, right? And it looks differently for different people. But I wanted to like just talk a little bit about like some of the internal work, some of the internal things that we are bringing to our practice, and then also give space for how can we then be in community around this, right? And it's going to take for us to be communicating in an honest way. That's a big deal. For our relationships to go deeper than our masks of composure. So that means, oh, you mean, I show up every day like this. I present my lessons in this way in school, but what happens when I'm not having when I'm shook to my core, right? If there's so much chaos around me that I don't have that. I can't even do all of the grace and courtesy today, right? Right? You still got to have a community that says, no, we got your back, right? The mourning, the rejoicing, all of that. And hopefully you have experienced that, you have been a part of that within a Montessori space. It's nothing like it. And if you can feel it, you can feel it in a space that has some of these elements when we talk about our learning environments. So I wanted to talk about that community piece because then I also want to kind of like expand on some of the idea of around self-care for us as educators and administrators as a professional practice. Um, I will say, I don't know if it's happening now, but I know that when I was going through different training levels, I don't know that was not a topic that I felt that was there as much as I think it could be and should be. What does self-care look like? And that how it needs to be integrated deeply into our practice. If for no other reason, the fact of like you take all these different quotes, Montessori quotes, and all the stuff she's saying, or all these things that she's saying that we need to be and do, that alone is like, yeah, I'm gonna need to, I need some help. I need to kind of like work on myself, right? To be able to show up. This woman is like serious. Um, and so I think that really digging into self-care as a professional practice is something
Hmm.
that I want to kind of hold space for us today. Please jump in if y'all have questions or comments. So vicarious trauma, this when we talk about vicarious trauma, that is when and just to say too, trauma is not an event. It's not an event. It's actually what it's how your nervous system is actually responding to being overwhelmed, right? And in some cases, our nervous systems, well, not to go into that, but they respond in different ways depending on what it is and who the person is. You know, some people have different levels and types, degrees of sensitivity. And there could be something that can shake a child to their core. I can remember, so I'm a child who has never, I've never, so okay, I have never gotten a whooping. Okay, so for y'all that get, you understand what I mean when I talk about a whooping. Never had one, never got one. And I grew up in the South, and I never got a whooping. And I don't know how that happened, but I'm here to say it. But one thing that I remember my mom doing is she was upset with me. I can't remember what I did, but she took her finger and she put her finger on my forehead and she said something like, "Don't you ever do that again," or something, right? And she did like that, and my head kind of went back ever so slightly. And I think on the inside I was like crushed, right? And it's such a subtle thing, but for me and my sensitivities, that was like I just, I, when I think about it now, it's just like, whoa, like I can almost still feel it. Um, so I say I get into that story because of when we talk about vicarious trauma. These are things that we can sense and feel from other people that then impact us, and it can create a type of trauma for ourselves. So we don't have to be in we're not like directly in a war ourselves. Our physical bodies may not be in war, but when we know that, we have people that we know, or people that we don't know, or people close by or far away that are in some type of, armed like resistance or fighting, it can stir us up in ways that it you don't see it from the outside, right? And so we can come into our practice, our professional practice, with those cumulative things, and it impacts who we are and how we show up for children. And naming that without shame is a part of being in that community where you'll be held, right? And it takes time to get there, and it takes leadership that is going to center that because it's important. Self-care is not bubble baths, although they can be nice, right? But it's not just that. It's not just, oh, I'm just gonna pamper myself and I'm gonna like do things that are like external things. All of that can be self-care, but it's not the only thing. Self-care, the deeper it goes in terms of like addressing your nervous system, maintaining, being able to create boundaries for yourself, that's self-care, right? Um, and then the rest are things that we just talked about. Let's go to the next slide because then in a minute I'll run out of time. So here is something that I love to share with clients in therapy spaces. We talk about self-care, and then there are different realms or like elements of self-care. You got psychological, you got emotional, spiritual, personal, professional, physical. And this actually helps one to be able to, I think, approach self-care in different ways because sometimes we can get trapped in like our own perceptions of what self-care is, right? And then maybe realize like, oh, well, I guess that was self-care. I didn't realize that. I was watching that comedy show and I was just laughing, just the laughing, right? That laughing, that's falls under emotional. So there you go. You did a little self-care today. And so really challenging yourself actually to, well, how much can I get in a day? Or maybe I want to like make sure that I hit every one of these different elements, and I want to do one thing in the list, depending on who you are. Like if some of us love to check things off, you know, find the different ways and the different things that you can do to show up for yourself and incorporate that into your day-to-day life. When you do that, you model that for children, right?
Hmm.
And they're going to do the same. Maybe in addition to your job wheel, you have a wheel like this in your classroom. And it creates this emotional like safety and social emotional learning. So yes,
Hmm.
you're going to get your jobs done, and maybe on your work plan, you have something that um, encourages the child to do some kind of self-care. What's your self-care activity or thing going to be today?
Hmm.
And let them come up with it. Like, oh, I decided to go draw, or I watered the plant. And then see how creative their responses are in terms of
Hmm.
what self-care is.
It just occurs to me that it could even be something that we add to the work plan, right?
Exactly.
Because so often it's like, okay, if I have time for self-care, I'll do something. If I can fit in a walk today, I'll get to that. Like it's so often an add-on or seen as it's not really necessary, but yeah, it's a nice thing to do if I have time.
Right.
And at least in my opinion, it should be just the opposite. That should be the first thing. When we pour into ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and maintain our own well-being, we're more prepared to serve the people around us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So making sure that that's a priority, and what a wonderful opportunity to help our children develop that habit early on,
absolutely.
by making it a priority and, saying, okay, let's make sure you focus on one bit of self-care. And I think many times we're socialized to think that self-care is somehow being selfish.
Right.
And that's just not the case. It's just like, maintaining a car, maintaining a vehicle. We take
Mm-hmm.
a lot of pride in making sure the oil gets changed, the tires get rotated, we have a schedule. And do we do those things for ourselves?
Yeah. Yep. It's and even when you talk about the vehicle, like our bodies are our vehicles.
Hmm.
And being selfish, well, if I know that I have a cosmic task and that there's something that I'm supposed to be doing to like
Hmm.
further humanity, then it's like, well, damn right, I should be selfish.
Amen. That's right.
Like, why wouldn't I be? Actually,
Right.
if everybody was focusing on self-care and taking care of themselves so that they can fulfill and live out their cosmic task, we might not have as much chaos.
Right. That's right. We'd
So,
be more
yeah,
self-fulfilled
yes,
and
yeah,
better to interact with one another.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, so I did get to the end. So here are some questions for you to ponder. Um, I want you to just look at these and maybe come off mute or put in the chat if you have just a thought. It doesn't have to be a dissertation. You don't have to feel like it needs to be all right and double checking. Just what comes up. Okay. Montessori urged us to undergo spiritual preparation. What does your inner preparation practice look like right now? And that's a real question.
Hmm. And folks, you are able to come off mute. So if you'd like to join the conversation, we'd love to hear from you.
I can start.
Thank you.
Um, I I take my job as um, a, a job that is. Let me turn on my camera just in case. I take my job as something that is where I have a really big responsibility to set a good example to my children. So I start my day with a prayer, and I pray that I will be a good influence to my kids. And that kind of heals me to start my day well. So that's my answer to the first question.
Nice. Yep. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to put all the questions in So you might choose to answer another question, and we have three. So feel free to chime in.
And if you'd like, Maati, I think we can do small groups. I think we can go to breakout rooms.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's do that.
All right, I'm going to create three breakout rooms. You will now be transported to your breakout room. We'll see you back in 3 minutes. So you should see, there you go. You should see an invitation.
And I think the questions will go with them in the
I
breakouts, right?
think so. Okay. And Callie, you should be going to, okay, does everybody have their breakout room? Asia, you're in room 1. Huh? And Callie, you are in room 2. Are you able to join your room? Oh, you can't participate. That's okay. If you're able to click on the room, you'll be able to listen into the group conversation. And Asia, if you're able to click on room 1, you'll be able to listen in on the group conversation. Maati,
Yeah.
you and I can talk about these, and maybe
Oh,
Callie
yeah.
and Asia can listen in.
Okay, cool.
Um, when a child's behavior triggers frustration in you, what is the reaction trying to tell you about your own unmet needs?
Mm, that's a deep one.
That is a very deep one, right? Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh.
that's a big one. And I mean, just being able to ask yourself the question
Mm-hmm.
is a big step, right? Because
Right.
I mean, I've been there, as a parent, as a grandparent, as an educator. Um, sometimes it's telling me that I'm hungry or tired or overwhelmed in my own circumstance and that I don't have the bandwidth to help another person in that moment. Hi, Maati. Hello, friend.
All right. Sorry.
I figured the weather must be kicking
Yeah,
up there.
I don't know what that was because I don't see anything happening yet. But yeah, I was just saying like that question. It's like first you have to know, oh, I'm being triggered right now. Because
Hmm.
sometimes that completely you miss it. You're just like,
That's right.
No, you should not be doing this, friend.
Right.
Da, da, da. And you're just like not even realizing that person or this action, this behavior, that tone, that it
Hmm.
could be so many things. It could be like combination between like a comment and a smell. Maybe there's something that just is irritating you and you don't realize
Yes. Yeah.
being sent through to some other time and you're getting
Right.
triggered.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yes. I think what it tells me is I need more tools. I need help. I need support.
Hmm.
If I'm getting frustrated, um, then I need to, call for help.
Yeah.
And maybe I need a break. Maybe I just need to walk out of the room for a minute and come back.
Yep.
Um, but I think really what I've learned over time is where am I centering my attention? If I'm getting frustrated, whose needs am I focused on? Am I focused
Mm.
on my own needs, or am I truly centering the child and
Yeah.
working to meet their needs?
Yeah. And there, but there's room for both.
Absolutely.
Be-
Absolutely.
I mean, because I mean, I'm a firm believer that whatever level that if you're, especially if you're a classroom teacher, whatever level you're teaching in that time period, if there's some healing for you.
Hmm.
And at that age,
Yeah.
like
Good point.
that's what I
Yeah.
feel like. I feel like, I mean, I don't know how we could ever like do some research on this, but I do feel like when you're working with little ones, then you're working with your little one,
Yeah.
you know. And
Well, it's funny you say that because well, there has been research about vocabulary levels in teachers who work with a certain age group for prolonged periods. Like, a teacher
okay,
who's worked with first graders for 35 years, tends
you're
to
talking
have
like
a
a
first
first
grade
grade.
vocabulary. And why wouldn't you? It only makes sense.
Right, right.
Because that's the language you're using. That's your
Hmm.
habit. You're habitually
Yeah.
explaining things. I know when I taught first grade, my husband would say to me, "Stop talking to me like I'm a first grader," because
Right.
I'd, explicitly explain,
Hmm.
everything and all the steps. He's like, "Stop it."
That's funny.
I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
but it is your habit.
Right. Yeah. That's funny. How long are they in there?
Well,
Listen
I
to.
was just going to say I'm going to close all the rooms. All right.
Okay.
So they'll have a minute to come back.
Okay.
Oh, Asia said, sorry she missed the breakout room. She's in the midst of evening gymnastics melee and had to set her earbuds down.
Oh.
That's okay, Asia. We're so glad you're here. Welcome back, everyone. Well, hopefully, I know there were some great discussions happening. So I'm sure folks will be back in 14 seconds.
Lindsay, I like your room. It's beautiful.
Isn't it so beautiful? It's not a real room. It's a picture I took off the
Oh,
internet. But it looks real, right?
it
Uh-huh.
does. It
So
really does.
pretty.
Because usually when you put a background, it looks a little bit,
Right.
of the
For
same.
whatever reason, this background looks so believable. We're just talking about my background. It's not a real classroom, but I wish I was in this classroom. It's so beautiful.
That one looks good. Yes,
It
I've
really
often
does.
said that about her background, that it actually
Yeah,
looks like she's in a classroom.
it's
Mhm.
so believable. Yeah. So we have room one was Asia, Cassie, and Sasha. Would you all like to share any of your discussion points or what you learned from one another?
Well, Sasha was just finishing the last question. So I don't know, Sasha, if you wanted to finish or kind of reiterate what you were saying for that last question about what's changed for you in education. I didn't get to
Okay,
hear
no
the whole thing.
problem. Yes, so for the last question, I was actually saying that, initially when in the education field, even while going to school or even teaching, you found that we were raised or taught that a child must be disciplined irrespective, and our emotions and our responses were not so much paid attention to, or we were not taught how to self-reflect as adults and to look at our responses and see how those responses may be causing negative effects or even behavioral issues in these children. So that is something that I have grown away from, and I you know focusing more on the triggers. What is it that triggers me? And I think that was our second question, where we said that, if a child's behavior triggers me a particular way, or even puts me to a point to respond a particular way or in a negative light, then that should be a point for me to self-reflect, to see there should be something for me to fix within myself. There's something that needs some attention so
Mhm.
that I can learn to respond in a better way and not be so triggered by these situations or these behaviors.
Mhm. That's
So it
beautiful.
was quite a discussion. It was
Thanks,
quite a
Sasha. I just
discussion.
wanted to hear the rest of you. You got cut off, so I
Okay,
stubbornly wanted to hear, selfishly wanted to hear. We
no
also
problem.
talked about the fact that, we're told about spiritual preparation and self-care, and yet sometimes we're not given the tools. So I'm so happy for this, Maati. And we ask our faculty and staff to do that. And so what I was saying is that, talking about emotional intelligence, I think is really important, and understanding, the first aspect of that, which is self-awareness, because it's hard to put any of this in practice unless you understand yourself and given tools to be able to do that
Right.
first.
Good point. Good point. Thank you. We had room two was Callie, Ellen, and Mel. Would anyone from room two like to share?
Well, I can say that Mel and Callie gave me some good tips on self-care of yoga in the morning, of doing yoga, because Mel started out, which Mel is a precious instructor from CGMS who I have never met face to face. I've talked to her by
Oh, wow.
email for 15 years and have
Oh my
not. And
goodness.
so that was just lovely in itself. And Callie was not able to talk to us, so she did so by chat. But they both were saying they did yoga in the morning, and I'll pass it to Mel after I say it's very interesting that I do not work with children, that I am simply admin in both of my capacities. I do not work with children, and it is amazing to me how much of everything that I hear, it all still has all the parallels. It's still,
Yeah.
it can be applied in very many of the same ways. So Mel, I'll
And,
pass it to you.
and Ellen, I have to say, I know that you're a very proud grandma and you work with kids a lot and they love you.
I
You
do
do.
work with with my grandkids. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Mel, did you have anything to say? I know Callie can't, she must be where she needs to be quiet because she can't talk, but.
Yeah, I would say the stretching, I do that to kind of get the energy out and so I can get up and down off the floor at school. And also, like when there's things going on in the classroom, I just, I see it and we have a procedure for it. And then I also try to think, well, this happened today, or this, was kind of going on, but look at all the other things that went right today, that this person did this. And, we had a case where something was happening today, and at the beginning of the year, I think we'd have a lot of joining in, and that
Mhm.
would create more activity in the classroom. And then today, everybody just kept, they did what they needed to do, and they, And we frame it in a way like, let's help this person learn. Like if when you don't join in, it helps this person stay calm and learn. And so, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say that's where we got, right?
Love it. Thank you, room 2. And room 3 was Diane, Sophia, and Vina. Would you like to share what you all talked about?
Go ahead, Vin.
Go ahead, Diane, if you know, if you want, please.
Okay. No, go ahead, please.
Okay, we discussed the mostly the preparation, and Diane shared with the prayer at the beginning, and I think from my point of view, it's like um, I need to go back to my state and think that those children are products of adults somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to help myself to help them how to deal with the situation or to deal with their emotions and so on and so forth. So, because uh, when they normalize every day, it's an additional aspect that we need to settle in them in order to gain, their potentiality somehow, to reach their potentiality. So that's one of the preparation. We shared also um, what success that we find that we can give up. uh, uh, yes. So uh, Sophia shared that coming from traditional education is totally different, and it doesn't work in the Montessori setting, right? It's totally different. So this is something that she gave up. Something I shared that we have to have a vision for the children, today's children, and we have, in order to make the environment really inviting, we have to take in consideration what kind of children are we dealing with, because today's children have lots of challenges and today's parents have lots of challenges, so we have to take this in consideration. If we be rigid about what to put on the shelf, or how the environment to be, of course it's in the core Montessori philosophy, of course that's given. But I have to, this is a challenge for me actually, to renew the shelves in a way that it's inviting and it's purposeful work, and to have um, a vision for the whole classroom with different kind of children, and of course different kind of age, and different kind of background, and what they are exposed to these days. It is a challenge for the teacher. So what I give up sometimes to not to be rigid about what I put on the shelf. Like, I can change the shape, I can change but the core purpose is still there.
That's
That's it.
beautiful. Thank you, Vina.
Thank you.
Maati, we have just a couple of minutes left. If you'd like to close us out, I do want to just say if you're interested in any more information about Sarasota University, Ellen's email is in the chat. And Maati, thank you for this evening. This has really been fabulous, and I so appreciate your gift of your time and talent this evening. And if you're interested in reaching out to Maati, how do we find you, Maati?
Well, let's see. Um, I'll put my email in the chat.
All right.
I didn't have because I wanted to do this slide, so I usually
Oh, thank you. Yes, if you'd like to put your information in the chat, or if anyone would like to reach out to Maati, email us at Sarasota and we'll put you in contact. If you'd like to receive a certificate of attendance for your participation this evening. Scan the QR code. We have 3 questions for you to answer and provide your contact information. And we, in return, will send you your certificate of attendance. And
Okay.
oh,
Yeah, I'll just jump in. So
yes, ma'am.
my email is here. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can just search for me there. My website, oh yeah, I do have a website. It's radiantmindsolutions.com.
Okay.
And so that's where you can find information about my services in like the school consultant realm. If you're in Ohio, I see clients and I do therapy in Ohio. And I have a Substack where I write probably every I write bi-weekly, but there's lots of stuff. I mean, it started out with a lot of Montessori content, and now it's like not as Montessori explicit, but it's still me as a Montessorian, just kind of exploring my world and things that happen. And I also have a book that is it, it's it's browning. It's like the last little
So
I
exciting.
am too, my Ati. That's amazing.
yeah,
That is awesome. You'll have to come back when your book is published, and we'd love to
yeah,
hear more about it.
yeah. We'll definitely be sharing more about it. Me and the co-author. But yeah, that's exciting too. So yeah, please reach out. And if you have questions like about maybe something that you're struggling with in your own practice, anytime I give a presentation, I then open myself up and say, hey, reach out. You got my email address. We can get on a call. It can be a quick, I mean, sometimes people will reach out and be like I had a woman reach out to me and was wanted to go over a lesson that she was going to present in her teacher training program, like for her, like what do you call them? The I can't think of the name of it. Like when you do your test, like your final,
Oh,
whatever.
your exams or
Yeah, yeah,
your
the part where
comprehensive or yeah,
yeah, like
oral
the part where
exams. Yeah.
yes, the oral. And so I was like, okay, yeah. I didn't know what it was. She set up an appointment with me, and that's what she wanted to do. So I love that. Like that felt so like I don't know, it felt really communal. I felt like I was just like, a colleague. And so yeah, just reach out. I'm here.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
thank you so much. This has been the best
yeah.
use of time, and I'm so, again, really grateful for your contributions, Maati, to our group this evening and to the Montessori community.
Thank
Um,
you.
Thanks again.
All
And
right.
folks, thanks for being here. We hope to see you next month. We meet on the third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Pardon me, 7 p.m. Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And Cassie, what time is it there where you are?
It's 5 o'clock.
Ah, 5 o'clock. All right. Still early there. Well, whatever time zone you're in, whatever your weather is, join us for Sarasota University Colloquium. Stay safe and please reach out if we can support you in any way. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.